Hey guys, Devin Gridley, AllFather Fitness, and today we're going to be talking about stretching and flexibility. And the reason I'm making this video is because in the previous video I made, I was kind of bashing on stretching, and that's because I was going over the misconceptions about warming up and how people use stretching as a warm-up when that's not the use for it, and it's not practical to do that at all, and I covered that all in the last video. So if you want to go and watch that, please do. But anyway, we're going to get into how stretching is super beneficial and being flexible is very beneficial. So the first thing is something not a lot of people realize, because most of the people who watch my channel, we're all really young and we don't think about how our life is going to be, when we're 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever age it be. And we don't think about like what we're doing now is how it's going to impact our life in the future. And being flexible and stretching is one of those things that you just don't think about. You don't want to stretch. You don't really care about being flexible. Like, it's not just, you just don't really think about it. You don't really care. But a huge benefit to being flexible and stretching is that you will have a ginormous longevity of your joints and ligaments and tendons and all that good stuff, which is really important because a lot of people who get old have joint problems, obviously, have arthritis, they tear ligaments, they tear tendons, they tear their muscles, they just injure themselves doing practically nothing. They just get hurt so easily. Back problems, knee problems, arthritis in their hands, shoulder problems, all that good stuff. And, that's obviously not good. And there could be a lot of different causes, such as they just have really crappy genetics for that, or they made mistakes in their life when they were young, like not taking advantage of the fact that stretching is so easy to do, and it's so easy to become flexible like that. So that's obviously really good. You want to have the good longevity of a good life. You want to be able to do the things you want to do when you're 50 or 60 or 70. You don't want to be confined to a walker or a wheelchair, or getting up or walking upstairs is really difficult for you because it's just painful. You don't want to get to that point. So I heed my word and start stretching and being more flexible, obviously. But the other thing we're going to talk about in stretching and flexibility is how it impacts your performance when you're in the gym. So a lot of people don't realize, but when you stretch, you actually increase your tensile strength of your tendons and muscles in the concentric portion of a movement. So in the negative portion of a movement, your muscle is stretched at its max capacity. And the higher tensile strength you have, which you get from stretching and being more flexible, you're going to have more strength in the bottom portion of a movement. And if you didn't know, the bottom portion of movement is the hardest part of a movement, because you have to, get the bar off your chest or off the ground, or, whatever lift it is. You have to get it out of that bottom portion, and it gets a lot easier from there. So having more tensile strength in the bottom portion of a movement, especially if you're going for PRs or you're looking to do, powerlifting and you want to have super explosive movement, being flexible like that is very, very important. So yeah, if you want to gain strength really quickly, become more flexible, gain that tensile strength, and your strength will probably shoot up a great deal. And the next thing we're going to talk about is the significant decrease of injury when you are super flexible. I just talked about how in the concentric portion of movement, the negative portion of any movement, you have more tensile strength. So if you have more tensile strength, your muscles are a lot stronger at the bottom portion of a movement, which means they're not going to tear as much, which is good and bad in some ways. So I don't believe this actually impacts. I didn't really think to go and look at studies, but I extremely doubt that the more flexible you are, the less your muscles are going to stretch and the less micro tears you're going to have, and in that case decrease your gains. I don't believe that, but I know that if you have more tensile strength, you can lift more weight in the bottom portion of the movement, so you're just going to make up for that. But yeah, if you have more tensile strength and your muscles are stronger like that, they're able to be stretched further, then your muscles are going to be adapted and used to being stretched. So when you're stretching with weight instead of, just actually stretching, you're going to have a significantly less chance of being injured, like having a pec tear or a bicep tear or something like that, right? So that's obviously very good. You don't want to get injured. That's very important, especially when you go to the gym, because it can take you out for months and months. And if it's really bad, you may even have to have surgery to put muscles and tendons back in their place and ligaments sewn back together and ligaments taken out of your leg to put in your shoulder. There's so many different problems that can cause like that. So it's obviously very important to be flexible and to stretch. So I would highly recommend taking up a stretching regimen either right after your workout or at night, which is what I prefer to do. I feel like it's just a really nice way to, get into bed. You're all just really loose, and by morning you're good to go. Like your muscles will have gone back to the way they were. And if you didn't watch my last video, that was a big part of that video, was the fact that if you stretch a muscle before you're doing anything, like work-wise, like you're going to the gym or you're doing, running in football or, in any sport really, if your muscles are stretched, you're going to have an actual increase of injury because your muscles aren't used to being stretched like that, and it's, obviously not good. So yeah, I think I covered everything on stretching and flexibility. There really isn't a lot of information you could get. Like, it's not super scientific. Like, it's just a known fact that if you're more flexible, it's more healthy for you. But a lot of people don't know about like the tensile strength thing, and a lot of people don't think about how it affects your joints and such. So I just wanted to bring light to that and explain that it is actually kind of important. And maybe in the future I'll actually give out how I go through stretching, because I don't do normal stretching. Instead of like stretching all my muscles, I just run all my joints through their range of motion, and then some tight muscles, if they're really tight, then I'll stretch them. So I don't really stretch every single muscle of my body every single day. That's not really how I do it, and it seemed to have worked so far. Ever since doing that, I haven't gotten injured once, so that's obviously pretty good. But that is all I really have to talk about on stretching and flexibility. But since it's a short video, if you have any other time, check down in the description to see any videos that you may like and watch them. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing and liking the video if it did teach you something or you liked it in general. But I will see you in the next one.